away the Lucian. For top esports, I actually wonder what they first pick here because you've been having so much success with the Diana, but no, instead wanting to go straight towards that Viego pick. The Viego is something that enables something like the Diana to come out right. AD soul laner. We've seen Knight have absolutely tremendous performances on this pick. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them to bring that out. Now for V5, the fact that they have had so many roster changes in the recent weeks, I think makes it a little bit harder for Reheal, going to be able to bring out that Thresh for the first time so far, open up a hyper carry for Kepler, and you're going to take away that Diana from Karsa, which I think is absolutely massive because it has been his best pick so far in LPL 2021 summer.
Absolutely, no doubt it has been his most prominent pick at the moment, as they do take that one away. So see what PZX can't do with this particular one, as the Thresh was locked in as well, like you mentioned, for Reheal. And top esports are going to respond. They're going to look for the Kalista, maybe pair it with something with the Nautilus. Look for that big aggression, knowing that if they do pick up something like the Aphelios or the Jinx for a Kepler, he's going to have a very rough early game.
Yeah, and you know, I expect the Nautilus to come out for TS, and there it is. Now I wonder what Victory 5 are going to look for. You can just try to match AD carry here, and they do with the Aphelios, but my big question is, what are you going to take up towards the mid lane? Because you're most likely going to go against that Viego pick. Knight's played it 3 times. It's his most played champion so far. That just shows how many champions this guy plays. Karsa and QingTian both haven't played it, and I don't feel like there's any really great answer to Viego in the meta, just from the fact that almost everything is a melee skirmishing champion where Viego can abuse his Q cooldown, which is 5 seconds. He can abuse his 225 auto attack range, and he has such an easy time coming out. So for Victory 5, we're going to be looking towards where Uniboy wants to go. He has really liked to default towards things like the Ryza split. The set now gone is typically what you would want to pair with that Diana. Not too many AD soul laners left to put alongside that. But just looking at V5's draft more holistically, I like the Aphelios pick here. You already have the Thresh, and you already have 3 very low-range champions that are going to be running into you, so setting up for a big Aphelios play later on into the game.
And I'm loving this second rotation of bans as well for both teams. You can see top esports recognizing the Diana's been picked in. They need to get rid of those AD solo lane threats, so they'll set the Camille band away. But on the other side, V5 recognizing that could be a Viego jungle, so taking away LeBlanc and Gwen, limiting the amount of options available to them. But woo, Kled locked in here, and it's not going to be played by Doonby.
Yeah, a bit surprising. So Uniboy clearly putting in the time on this one. You know, we were hoping for an AD soul laner coming out. I didn't expect that Uniboy had anything left in his pool, but gonna pull out this one. Now for top esports, looks like they are gonna be putting Viego in the jungle, most likely. You would expect the top lane pick to come out last. Not too much open for the side of TS. We've seen QingTian pull out certain frontliners like the Mundo, but that's not something that would really fit in this composition. The Aatrox is, oh wow, we actually might get an even bigger curveball. Might get Viego top lane. I don't feel like that fits the way QingTian has been playing so far this split, but yeah, TS are going to lock it in. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like if you were going to take the Viego in your soul lane, I kind of expected Karsa to just go with the Gragas and try to have that AP-AD split and go towards a champion he's very comfortable with. But instead we have the Trundle coming out. Very skirmish-heavy comp from top esports, not something that's a lot of synergy. And man, we get two crazy picks coming out from Victory 5. The Aatrox being pulled out as well. I feel like you're kind of throwing the gauntlet because a lot of people might not know this, but this is QingTian's go-to pick in my mind. This was his best pick. He's already played it once so far in the LPL this split, despite it not being meta. He was super good on this in the LDL, and the cool thing about Aatrox, right, is a lot of people think of it as losing lane to Renekton, and it's like, no, QingTian would pretty much play this into both sides of the matchup. He would take this into numerous sides of many matchups. So, yeah, gonna see how this one goes for the side of Victory 5.
I think that's a Trundle top. I think QingTian's taking the Trundle into top side against the Aatrox. So, what? I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not exactly versed in this particular matchup, but this feels like it's just going to be able to set up the Viego to be able to gank so much easier and get that Viego snowballing if they can catch the Aatrox pushing out. But again, I'm not 100% on the matchup.
Penguin, no one's 100% on this matchup. We have Trundle. You have 2 champions top that aren't in the meta. I'm still not sure, right? I think we got off the champ select screen before 20 seconds hit, so there was still time to trade, but if we do get that, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how that's gonna go. We're all gonna find out together, but yeah,
Hold my hand.
I don't know what to think.
Bring
You
me
have top
through the
esports.
darkness.
you have top esports for Victory 5. They did commit to that, as we see the Trundle coming out for QingTian, Karsa being put on the Viego. For TES, very skirmish heavy composition. It doesn't feel like it aligns all too well, but you still have a bunch of divers with the Kalista, so thematically overall, you do have a unified goal. For the side of Victory 5, I mean, you have the Kled coming out, you have an Aatrox, but Aatrox not really a champion that really likes running forward. When he was in the meta, it was a lot more about he's really good against low-range comps that want to come into him, or he's also really good at being able to find flanks and disrupt the backline. But you have two divers coming in, 4v5, you have this weird kind of flank disruption champion, and then having an Aphelios in the bottom lane. So I think V5's comp is the one that is more hard to tie all the pieces together as compared to Top's.
See how it all ends up panning out, because right now we are jumping onto the rift for game 1 of this best of 3 with a Trundle Aatrox top lane matchup for QingTian and Aphelios, and this is definitely not what I expected coming into this particular game. As we can see now, both junglers going to be starting on their top side of their jungle. We'll get a little bit of a leash for the Dianas. Now Zhuo and JackeyLove, they're going to use this level 1 to their advantage. They have got the hook available. The ignite goes down, reheal, the double flash is committed, and first blood to top esports. They are using this early aggression to fullest.
And, you know, when we said V5's big advantage is coming out in early game skirmishes and finding those leads, definitely not the start you want to see if you want that big upset. So, great play coming out from JackeyLove and Zhuo, abusing that level 1 power spike. Now we're getting to see a lot of heavy trading up in top side. The thing I'm most curious about with QingTian playing top Trundle is the build coming out. Are we still just going to see Divine Cinder first because Divine Cinder is so strong? It was nerfed this patch, but still, we've seen things like the Essence Reaver first be a possible build coming out from Trundle top. Khan specifically, I saw playing that in solo queue once before, so you have options here. If he does go for something like the Essence Reaver style build, you're gonna have a stronger early laning phase as compared to the Divine Sunder, which I feel like is just overall a stronger item throughout the game.
I'll have to wait and see. Curious to see how this one goes, and maybe it is a new way for top esports to, as you said, ease QingTian into this team, into this lineup, because like we mentioned, he hasn't had the greatest of start this season, has definitely faltered and looked a little bit shaky, and maybe this is something that he feels comfortable into. Maybe this is just a random pick. Who knows? The only person who knows is top esports and their coaching staff. But see now what Karsa wants to do. Was spotted out by a ward as he was taking his Raptors. And Gromp going to be taken here by PZX. So he now knows where roughly this Viego is going to be. But good ward over the wall. Does spot out the Diana as he tries to roam up. But QingTian is moving already, so they know straight away that this is going to be a contested scuttle, as there is no Trundle in that top side, and Karsa does not care for his vision, does not care to be sneaky, knows he needs to go for this one, but it actually is V5 who rotate a little bit quicker. Smite goes down, it's secured by Karsa, flash away by PZX, Knight goes in, they're going to try and catch him, he does not land the chains, but it does not matter, as his damage is still good enough, and look at these bruisers, just pushing forward, looking for everything. Uniboy, forced to flash, and top esports are looking to continue. Knight gets another, that's 2 kills for the Sylas, and that is a perfect start for top esports.
And this is going to be a fast burner for the side of Victory 5. Not only are you giving over a bunch of kills, you lost both Scuttle Crabs for PZX. And now for Karsa, who's going to have so many options, right? You're going to come up, be able to clear your Gromp, maybe look for a window up towards top side. If Aphelios is still pushing, you'd expect probably to recall wanting to come out from him, but then still you have so many strong lane pryos to play with. And we're going to see here PZX's flash forced out very early on, but then both Knight and Karsa able to just follow through, gets the possession to come through to keep following up onto Uniboy. And then I like that they realize they can still go for it, right? They both dive in unison, the coordination was there, and they get that extra kill. Now you look at the items, right? Seeker's Arm Guard already on Knight, so this Kled lane not going to be able to do too much. You have Karsa making his way towards that Divine Sunderer build. and the side of V5 really has nothing to answer.
Just as a little tidbit of information, no reason I'm bringing it up. 17 minutes and 7 seconds is our speed run record of the fastest game in the LPL summer 2021. FBX versus Rogue Warriors, if I do remember that one. So just keep that one in mind, because I'm looking at the champions of top esports, and they have so many options to just continue to snowball. PZX is here, but Karsa and Knight are looking for the dive. They jump over, they now see the jungler is there, and there is no minion wave just yet. So using that priority in mid, just making sure they know exactly what's going on. But PZX, he's just sitting here. He's not doing anything, but he will not lose his Grump as it reset, as top esports were not able to take it away. So at the end of it all, nothing happens.
To be fair, I think this is one of the things that shows the promise of PZX, because he has been the highlight of V5 all split long. It's that he can read what the enemy jungle is looking to do, but Zhuo finds the hook. Not going to be able to turn into anything, but still, you got both summoners out from Kepler. So as Karsa, you can just look to punish this once again. If PZX makes his way towards the top side, you can even just look to set up a dive as top esports.
Look for a dive, maybe even look for an early dragon. You've so many options, like we mentioned earlier, just so many things that can go right for the side of top esports. As now you can see they're trying to take away that scuttle again. Elias is around and may look to try and contest it. There is no level 6 though for PZS, or PZX. And top esports, they are running amok. They've got themselves 1,000 gold lead, 3 kills. They have the run of the map really, and I feel like this Trundle pick was just to kind of mitigate the Aatrox in that top side, something that can just tank up these tank up these minions, make sure it's pushed in, cover himself, and make sure that this Aatrox pick doesn't really get any kind of solo lane advantage.
To be fair, I feel like there's so many other picks that could do the same thing. I just wonder why they decided that Trundle was the pick to do that, right? Because we're seeing, it does seem like Aatrox does have an advantage in terms of the laning phase. It kind of makes sense, right? Because you can just throw out your W. Trundle has really no way to surpass that, and you can continuously poke him down with your Q. But we need to stop talking about that, because TS once again are setting up for this play on bot side. Makes sense. We hit on the Summers being burnt earlier and re-heal. Re-heal does have flash, so I don't think top esports can just burst him out. Seems like they're waiting for JackeyLove to bring in the wave, but they do have a pretty good-sized wave.
Yeah, it's a pretty big one coming in now. You can try and keep it delayed, and oh, I like the idea from Zhuo. I like the idea. The flash had to be burnt there by re-heal to extend the distance on the dark passage, but Zhuo throwing out the dredge line to try and catch him mid-animation, but here comes the charge. That's going to be Uniboy jumping straight in. This is a 4v4. There is still TPs available for top laners, but Karsa is dead. Now JackeyLove gets caught out a little bit, but has his flash to get himself over the wall and healthy. It is going to be V5 though, turning that dive around and getting themselves a kill back.
Yeah, V5, I mean, they know what TS have been trying to do, right? They've looked for the same play now twice in a row. PZX even read it before. They're able to answer once a lot of cooldowns already being burnt by the side of TS to find that initial dive, but not able to do it. V5 still keeping gold relatively close as well, so definitely not all doom and gloom despite those earlier kills coming out for the side of TS. And now my eyes are going to be on the Rift Herald. We're at 850. Typically you have teams posturing for that Rift Herald already at the 8-minute mark. For Zhuo, we see him already making his way towards the mid lane, towards the top side, but it looks like TS, they don't care about the Rift Herald. They just want to keep hammering down on this bottom lane.
There's 2 plates, though, going over to Kepler. Will keep him fairly involved in this particular lane matchup. Get himself closer towards his Kraken Slayer as PZX is hovering down this side, just making sure that nothing's going on. But might be looking for a play of his own. JackeyLove, you shouldn't be here on your own, son. You have no flash. Will he get hooked? He will not. The Moonlight Vigil is enough to take him down, and that is going to be JackeyLove falling down to the greed of the minions.
Yep, and I mean, Kepler pretty much did all that himself, right? Sure, re-heal and PZX picked up an assist, but all that damage was just pure Kepler. Now on the opposite side, top esports are just going to answer with the Herald in response. Seems like they wanted to make a play towards bottom side earlier as, ooh, TS going to set up a potential dive on top. Elias does have flash, but seems like he can smell what the top esports is cooking, and he's not going to give in.
Actually going to be a little bit annoying just to Zhuo as he forces him to get a much more conservative recall position as Rift Herald did go over to Karsa. And honestly, I've got to give props to V5 right now. They were 3-0. Excuse me, they were 3-0 down. They were not in a positive position whatsoever. They now got 2 plates onto the Aphelios, so a kill effectively. Another kill onto the Aphelios, who's now building up towards that Kraken Slayer, and or even an Immortal Shield Bow, depending on what he wants to go for. It might actually go for the Immortal Shield Bow just purely from the amount of dive that is available to the side of top esports. He might just want to get the survivability, and this is positive from V5. This is something that we did expect them to have a good early game, but when it went away, the thing that we noticed from V5 is they're not very good at coming back, but this is showing good development from the squad.
It's showing a good sign of being able to read your opponent and like understanding their win conditions and like how they use their windows and their timings to look for plays. TES don't want to slow down though. They want to keep looking for this. If you look at the minimap, right? PZX is already on his way here. He's clearing his wolves right now, so he will lose a camp to Karsa. Oh, potentially. PZX is a level up. Not anymore.
Not anymore, but there is a hook available to re-heal, but we do have the Heartbreaker over the wall, and Karsa keeps himself alive. Definitely not a fight the side of top esports wanted to be taking. The TP advantage very much in the side of V5. They had both Uniboy and Allies with that in their hands. So not something you want to be going for. And I think top esports, they need to be a little bit more respectful now. V5 are hitting some pretty good item spikes and some pretty good level spikes as well.
I think it's one of those things where, right, they still have pry on a bunch of their lanes. At this point, because you know V5 are so heavily playing around to counter you, get deep vision down. You even should know PZX is clear because you just ran into him in bottom side jungle. You know that his next stop is going to be towards his top side camps. Right now, his red buff is up. I'm not sure if Karsa knows exactly that, but you know he's heading towards his top side. I feel like you need to look for a window where you can desync you looking for a bot side play with him being towards his top side. The Karsa kind of combining both, getting some vision down. Also going to look to punish PZX. I like that Zhuo is here, but re-heal's on his way. But it seems like V5 realized, hey, it's too late. We can't look for this. Just going to hover around mid lane right now. And this is going to open up a top gank for TS.
Yeah, they're going to drop the Rift Herald as well to act as the buffer. You can see this will mean the turret will go down as well. Elias needs to back himself away, but knows if he goes back away from his turret, he cannot survive. The TP is going to be coming in. The turret falls, so there is no extra defense. There's nowhere for him to go, and that is the Viego picking up the kill. 4-2 now for the side of top esports, and they can keep charging down this top side, continue with that Rift Herald charge, and get themselves a tier 2 as well.
Yeah, they got so much, and you can see Uniboy was sitting in base wondering, hey, should I TP, shouldn't I TP? In the end, it seems like they decided against it because they wanted to make a play on the opposite side of the map to pick up this dragon, but it feels like TS got a lot more out of it. We've seen, it feels like making the trades for gold this split are so much more worthwhile than teams to realize, hey, these early dragons don't mean much, but JackeyLove is going to be punished again.
JackeyLove, I love you, but you gotta stop doing this to yourself. It's just not worth it. Kepler, on the other hand, will get the full plates and tower gold to himself. Nearly 500 gold into his pouch or satchel or pocket, whichever you happen to have on your person. And this is, again, good signs from the side of V5. They are finding reactions to the proactive play of top esports.
The one thing I've liked is we've seen a lot of teams struggle with knowing when to posture and contest and knowing when to look for the trade on the opposite side of the map. And V5 haven't struggled with that at all. They've known when to trade. They haven't looked to contest top esports when they're stronger. They've looked to counteract plays when they really have nothing else going on the map, but they're not over-committing. They are truly only looking to stop the top esports play rather than kind of greedily set up their own. So despite the fact that they've picked up no wins, I feel like at least in this game alone, they've shown a better understanding of trading on the map than a lot of other teams in the LPL.
Again, the biggest issue we have when it comes to V5 is these mid to late game team fights and shot calling. They just seem to lose it all and don't really know where to go. And their early game, as you said in the pregame, was never really in question. It never really was something that we said they needed to improve. So this is where the real test, I feel, becomes the center of attention for V5. How they react, how they look to maybe punish the over-aggressiveness of top esports and look to push themselves towards a more positive mid to late game.
Yeah, and I feel like you're hitting the nail on the head right there. I mean, they just don't have like the experience, the tenure, the time together, and like people with experience like shot calling and building that skill. The other big problem is typically their laning phases, but just their proactivity with their jungler usually does make up for that. Is also being proactive right now, not able to hit with the death sentence though. As with no neutral objective up yet, we're not going to see too much of the map. Right now, both teams are trying to fight for that prio over mid-wave, just for the fact that Rift Herald will be up soon. I'm surprised we didn't see V5 push more into River, get some more vision down, maybe try to clear up towards topside and get more control over River with Rift Herald, but Knight is going to be the one who is pushing a side lane up on top side. It is going to give TS an avenue to walk into River no matter what. And we even see right now they spot that Victory 5 leave, and they walk in, get their own vision down as well. And with Rift Herald up now, you would expect that top esports should be in a pretty good place where they can feel good starting this one up. But both top laners have TP. V5 definitely could contest if they want to. They already do have that mythic on so many of their players, but instead, they're going to opt for the gold trade once again.
The big thing they're missing on the side of V5 is they don't have the Gore Drinker for Elias right now, so he's not as strong as he could have been. Maybe 30 seconds later, and he would have been able to recall and get himself that item and maybe be a part of that fight. But if buts and maybes are not going to change the result of the trade, and that is going to be mid lane turret late on the siege, and I don't even think they need to commit the Rift Herald to this because Kepler cannot walk toward it, and it's just a free objective from the backs of V5. Top esports able to capitalize.
And I really like the way that they're keeping Knight pushing on the top side, right? Because they're creating so much pressure just by having Knight there. Someone's going to have to go and answer. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be Elias. And Knight's going to have the ability to look to move first, maybe get some of his own vision down in topside jungle. If they were set up for a play mid, they can look to do that maybe in about 10 to 15 seconds.
He should be fine.
Goodbye, Zhuo.
Kalista ult, so he should be totally okay. But that is an engage tool, and a save tool has to be used for no real reason whatsoever. Is V5 again trying to find opportunities, trying to find picks around the dragon, around their vision. Just not able to make the full play there.
I think for V5 it's not too bad, right? Because you can see they're clearly banking on the Diana and Aphelios to be what carries them through to the finish line. If not, it feels like they would have been looking for a lot more of these contests on neutral objectives coming out. Now my question is if TES will look for it, because V5 actually have a really good setup right now. They have push and bot from Kled, so they know no kind of flank's going to come out. Now they spot Knight, and they have control over mid. Karsa
gets caught. There's the Heartbreaker to try and get him out. The charge in. Uniboy still very, very tanky, and Karsa is dead. The double TPs from the two solo laners of top esports to try and reset this fight. There is the pillar, the subjugate. That is a lot of stats taken off of Uniboy. He's now exceptionally squishy, but look at the damage being put down by this Kalista and Sylas combination. They've got so much. Kepler trying his best. He's got the guns to do it. The Severum, the Crescendum, the hook misses as everyone continues going. You can see QingTian being as annoying as possible with his pillar of ice, and now you can see Knight looking for more, setting up his team. QingTian takes down Reheal. The flash forward from JackeyLove. He is unafraid. He is unbothered by everything the side of V5 is pushing. Top esports want more. They want the ace, and they will get it. 5-for-1 in the end.
And I'm surprised that fight was so one-sided for TES. You know, when I was looking at the fight, I was keeping my eyes on QingTian. Okay, slowing some people down, but he had to flash out of the fight almost right away. I'm curious to why Kepler wasn't able to get off more damage in that fight, because it felt like so many members of TS were sitting ducks. We're going to see how it all starts. They are just going to all in onto Karsa. A lot of key abilities come out. Moonlight Vigil down as well, so pretty much all of your ultimates already used. And I want to keep my eyes on the Aphelios. It feels like this would be a place where Uniboy's positioned to do a lot of damage when the fight's just happening right in front of you. And Alia is just going a bit too far forward, and especially Knight. Knight doing so much in that fight by getting in there, dealing all that AoE, forcing them back, which gives them room to take out the Aatrox. Now you have a numbers advantage. You have the pillar to slow the enemy team down. And I'll be honest, that's kind of what this Trundle looks to me at this point in time. You look like you're a pillar bot. You're going to throw that down. You're going to be a bit annoying. And it's going to set up for the other members of your team to really pop off. And TS now once again back in a comfortable position as Knight, we've been here before. Doesn't have a second stopwatch though.
Not quite just yet, and he will fall. So Knight just kind of getting caught out, sadly, there for the side of Top Esports as we come out of the replay. Knight giveth, Knight taketh away, as he is 2-1-5 now, as QingTian goes ahead of him on 2-0-5. And yeah, honest, JackeyLove again so far forward, gets hit with the Gravitum, and they just dogpile on top of him. He's deleted. Now V5 with 2 people dead, no teleport on tonight. They may look for Baron.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what Top Esports can do to respond. Like you said, Knight has no TP. QingTian is here. You have a 3v5 where you don't really have any AoE damage. You don't have anyone to set up Karsa's resets. That might have been the biggest throw of the game. That might have been the throw. That might be what gives Victory 5 the tools to win.
Here we go, Heartbreaker onto the back of the pitch. Baron going down to about 2,000, 12,000. He's not able to smite it away. He smited too early. There was no smite onto PZX. They end up losing that Baron and their jungler. These staggered death timers make it so difficult for Top Esports to make a coordinated effort around any of these objectives, around any of these pushes. And now you can see QingTian trying to see if he can make something work in this bot side alongside Shelly.
We just called it, Penguin. You just know. You just know IG and Top Esports are teams who can lose to anyone. They can lose to the Rogue Warriors. They can lose to Victory 5. They can lose to TT. It doesn't matter. It's not surprising. And we just see them getting picked off one by one. I mean, JackeyLove, you really have no reason to catch your wave here. You shouldn't be able to walk into the enemy jungle to get vision down. Your jungle's not even anywhere by you to look to do that play. Your mid laner's already taken out, so getting lane pry on that scenario doesn't really do anything for you. And at the same time, you know where the enemy team is. You know they're going to be pathing towards mid and playing towards that bear, and that's the only neutral objective up. And Top Esports do still have a gold lead, so it's not completely over just yet. But still, I feel like massive blunders coming out. This could go to what we've heard from LPL teams and people who've worked in LPL overall, though, right? Is the fact that when you're playing this many series, and when you're constantly traveling as well, you're not going to be able to have the same amount of prep for every team in every series. And there are going to be times like this where, right, you are going to have to be like, well, maybe I'm facing V5. I had to travel to Xi'an a few days ago, and I have to travel to Suzhou in like 2 days. You know, maybe this series can't have 100% of my attention. That could just be a bit of an excuse for TS. I can't know. We're just seeing JackeyLove get caught out over and over again, and TS not able to find the plays that they are looking for.
Does feel very uncoordinated, specifically from JackeyLove, and I feel like it is going to come down to how they play around this Mountain Soul point in a minute's time. You can see most of the team on the side of Top Esports getting themselves 2 items. They also have the Locket available as well, so a lot of survivability, and arguably, comparably to the team they are facing, this is their power spike. This is where they are 100% stronger in a 5v5 team fight. The longer this game goes on, the more items and resources you're able to get onto Kepler's Aphelios, and of course onto the Aatrox and Diana, the harder it becomes for Top Esports to take a 5v5. So I feel like in less than a minute's time, they need to take this fight.
It'll always be possible for them to take a fight, but you will solely be relying on a standout performance from Knight or Karsa to find that flank, find that reset onto Kepler, and then carry the fight. So definitely much easier for Victory 5 the longer this goes. Even having all the zoning and utility from Thresh feels like it dissuades a lot of champions on the side of Top Esports.
Oh, there's a very deep teleport here. It's Knight on the backside. They will know he's there, as there is a ward just being swept onto now. The flash away from Kepler, so that is the flash from the AD carry of V5 down. You can see now they're going to see Uniboy going golden. He was a little bit on his own. He flashes over the wall, and it's going to be Karsa flashing over back on top of him. The Stolen Moonfall on the backside to fight on 2 fronts. We're going to focus on the 4v4 as we come back into this. JackeyLove trying to put down the damage. He will take down the AD carry, and now he can continue putting spears into the back of Elias, and he will fall. Flash away there by Reheal as he keeps himself alive. Importantly, for the side of V5, though, they kept Uniboy up and they killed the jungler. Uniboy trying to get himself the Dark Passage to seal him away and get him out safely, but Now you're relying on JackeyLove and his stacking Rens to try and secure this dragon. It's a bit risky. A Knight finds himself. Uniboy uses the Everfrost, but they've turned straight back on top of him. Knight might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew, but he will take that trade because he knows it guarantees his team the dragon.
I mean, still at that point, right? These are the type of plays that TS are making in the series where you're just kind of asking yourself why. Why are we looking for these plays? I get it. If Uniboy gets off the recall and TP's in, actually V5 are in a better position to look for a re-engage because they have higher health bars. They can look for the fight. They should be favored in the fight. So he wants to stop that one. He thinks he can burst him out, but just giving over your life for free. We're gonna see here. Zhuo, amazing to start off, forcing out the flash from the Aphelios. We're gonna see Uniboy be able to do so much work in this fight. And Karsa gonna try and follow him over the wall and find him. He's gonna end up getting soloed, but here is the important part. Knight and Zhuo once again keeping themselves on Kepler, gonna set up the kill for JackeyLove to come out. But we're still gonna end up in a place where overall it's a 2 for 2, and even turns into a 3 for 2 for the fact that Knight goes down for the dragon.
Important to recognize though, look at all the summoners that were burned. Pretty much everybody has lost their flash apart from PZX and JackeyLove. So if we do see a fight in the near future, it would be dependent on how those cooldowns are going. But now you're looking at JackeyLove. He's got the Guinzoos. He's going to be able to do a lot of work to these tanks should he get those Rens in, but it's all on Knight finding Kepler. It's all on Knight getting that stolen Diana ultimate like we saw many times so far this game and putting himself into a position to burn down this Aphelios. No stopwatches available for the Kled or the Aphelios this time around either. This could be pretty key as we move towards maybe a Baron in 20 seconds time. Both teams could take it fairly quickly with the compositions they have.
I feel like even though we're seeing TS make a lot of mistakes, and I say play very careless and recklessly, you can still see from how they took that last fight that they understand the win condition of their comp, right? It's all about the flank. It's all about getting the Sylas into the back line. I think Karsa chasing Uniboy was a little bit greedy, but him as well trying to find his way onto the Aphelios. So at least they understand their win con. They know how they should be taking fights. It's just the small little moments where this game has become extremely close. Me and you were talking, hey, we saw how fast the first series was. This series should be even more of a disparity. So, you know, what kind of potential speed run could this be? But not at all. 28 minutes in, completely even, though it could always be decided by one fight, right? One fight where a team gets aced right now, you take a Baron, that could turn into a push that ends the game.
Important to note as well, Top Esports are on Mountain Soul Point. QingTian eats a Moonfall Crescent as we see the hook landing in onto Uniboy. Remember, the summoners are still down, so these are the key things. The Moonfall has been stolen. Knight taking that one, and that forces pretty much everyone from V5 into a defensive state. They have to back themselves up. They cannot let Kepler get caught out by that. And that's all Top Esports wanted. They just wanted to steal the Diana ult and set it up for maybe a fight around this Baron, or maybe even wait till the 2-minute mark, and that will be the Mountain Soul.
I was going to say, I feel like Top Esports need to start threatening this Baron now. Like, you just took Diana ult, you have all the tools ready, you can't let that time out. You need to force them out of their base, because unless you do Baron, they have no reason to leave their base.
They two-man this so easily, and there's just no way V5 have any idea it's going on. They might think it's been started now, but it's too little too late. You can't walk near this Baron, and Top Esports get away with daylight murder. And that is going to be so damn easy for them now to reset, set up these waves for success, and then look for the soul point.
And this goes back to, you know, their inexperience, the lack of times they've been in this situation, right? Because they don't even consider it as a possibility. And I don't want to be too hard on them about it, because I think that's understandable. Unless you're in this league and competing against teams that do this consistently, it's like, how often do you see these sort of, you know, cheeky Barons elsewhere? So, Top Esports being smart, abusing Victory 5's lack of experience or lack of knowledge that this type of Baron could come out against a Kalista and a Viego. And like you said, they kind of got away with robbery. And for a game that was extremely close and kind of trending towards Victory 5 with the fact that Kepler's on 3.5 items, it feels like Top Esports found their lifeline and now are going to play for this Mountain Soul.
Now, Mountain Soul coming up in 26 seconds. You have summoners for everyone across the board. And important to know as well, Kepler has his Infinity Edge. He is a 3.5 item Aphelios. He will be melting health bars if he's given the time of day. He also has Crescendum and the Severum, but the Severum is on a very, very low ammo. So we can see now, here comes the charge. It's going to land down onto Zhuo. Not the priority target you need, but you'll take what you can. Nice hook there on top of QingTian. Means they may look to continue this fight. There is the stolen Moonfall, as we can see now. The Moonlight Vigil doesn't really do much. The Moonfall, the original one, has been used to try and maybe take out this backline, but it's just not got the damage. You can see, there it is! Knight jumps in, gets everyone all clumped up. Fantastic hooks in, out, and everywhere for this Nautilus, and there's just only so much that Uniboy can do. He'll remount, only to fall back down. The game will go over to Top Esports, but it was not easy.
And Top Esports have relied on Knight to find those plays time and time again, but you always know he's a man that's able to do it. And like we said, this game can be over in an instant with one team fight, and Top Esports are going to use that team fight to take the game.
Top Esports, they had a great early game, an incredibly shaky mid, but at the end of it all, they get the win in Game 1, and they are moving towards a 2-0 in this series. Definitely not convincing, definitely a lot of things to work on, but for Top Esports, you take the win.
Well, it's one of those things, right, where we can guess, we can speculate, right, because there were a lot more uncharacteristic mistakes from TES than we've seen from them normally. Just a lot of like very weird, careless mistakes coming out that can be easily fixed in like review, or like if you're just mindful of things like this happening. And that's why I present the possibility of something that Nelson said when he was on LNG, that, you know, you're playing so much, you're traveling so much, there just realistically isn't time to give every team the respect they deserve. And I think, you know, V5 are a team today, whether that is true for Top Esports or not, or just an excuse, that V5 in this game at least showed, hey, they are very competent players, they do deserve the respect. It is just a lot of these moments like not knowing about the Baron and things like that that are going to come to bite them. Even things like being able to ward off flanks and play around those is something you see a lot of teams in the LPL doing really well right now. Typically what you'll do is you'll top laner just kind of sitting behind, trying to force people out from those brushes and make them come back. V5 weren't doing that. It's set up for Knight to be able to find all those amazing flanks, and he always knew which ability he needed to take, taking that cheeky little Moonfall, getting on top of Kepler, and then V5 having no hope without their AD carry.
And honestly, I think the big thing I take from this from Top Esports' point of view is, yes, JackeyLove was randomly dying and didn't really need to give away 3 or 4 of his deaths that he ended up accumulating, but QingTian on this Trundle top, it had the effect of, we know that our jungle and mid are our carries. We know that these are the two guys that are going to be putting out the damage, and they need to be the one that need to be on the likes of the Viegos and the Sylases. If we put you on a tank that has also got the utility within its kit to facilitate that kind of works out for the side of Top Esports. They just need to tighten the screws up a little bit around those mid-game random pushing in of waves for JackeyLove.
I'll be honest, Penguin, I'm still not sold on the Trundle, but what do I know? I'm just a random LPL caster. Maybe we'll see it more, and, you know, that was the very first game we've had of it top lane so far this split. I'm still very curious to like understand the thought process of what Top Esports wanted to do, because that was very interesting. And even Karsa's Viego, I don't think it was a very convincing performance. I don't think Viego's a champion I would associate with Karsa, especially right now, where he's so much more into either these AP champions or these more tanks, early game bruisers, and ganking champions. So we at least got to see a bit of a difference. Maybe it is because they're up against a perceived weaker team that they thought, hey, this is the time to experiment a little bit, bring out things we're not so comfortable on and try and make them work. But at the end of the day, they got the win. I think another person who had a really good game was Zhuo. He kept finding like insane hooks. He made Kepler's life so uncomfortable.
He really, really did, and honestly, even in that last team fight, it was just hook after hook after hook, and just absorbing as much damage as he possibly could, and then getting out with probably about 10 or 12 HP, going back in when he had his rotation of spells back up. He is becoming more and more of a support that I can get behind, that I can know is going to challenge the likes of Mako and Ming in the top echelons of the LPL support brotherhood. And the guy has been, honestly, just one of the shining lights for me this particular game. I think if anyone deserves it, I think Knight will probably get MVP, but if anyone deserves it, it's probably him.
I can definitely see it for Knight just from those flanks, but I agree. In this game, in the last series, standout performer.
Standout performer. We'll have to wait and see, of course, to see who does get the MVP, but for now, we're going to